Hello and welcome, folks, here to another exciting edition of the Panthers Picks podcast. And a couple more times for the people because
you're in the jungle now, baby.
I am your host, FBI Tugboat.
You ever made out with a tugboat?
And I am incredibly excited here, March 24th, 4 days before the beginning of the 2025 UFL season. Just recorded the other regular Panthers podcast episode, little off-season stuff, talking about Ken Weisenhunt out now, head coach for the Memphis Showboats, will not be the head coach this season. That is going to be, but just had a Jim Turner, yes, offensive line coach Jim Turner coming in for the interim head coach for our conference rival, the Michigan Panthers conference rival, the Memphis Showboats, as well. Obviously, Reggie Barlow is going to be out, going on over head coach for Tennessee State. There's going to be Shannon Harris coming on in to be head coach for the DC Defenders. Let's get on into it because we finally have lines, totals, and everything else like that. Now, before I hop into the lines, totals, and everything else like that, not player props quite yet, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll get those later on in the season. But before we get into that, if you are under the age of 18, 21, in a state where gambling, sports gambling is not legal, or you plan on problem gambling or gambling intoxicated, then you... I should have said you can get out. That was the thing I was saying last season. Anyway, without further ado, let's hop on into it. And gamble responsibly, of course. Hop on into it. Yes, this is, of course, on DraftKings right here. As we do not have an official sponsor here for the Panthers Picks podcast, I will say shop around. Shop around and find the best price for you and what you think is going to happen. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go through all of these, but first I am going to say that we have been positive 2 years in a row. The USFL was more profitable than the XFL. And between the two, it was only barely positive. I obviously watched a lot more of the USFL than the XFL. Last year was significantly positive, especially dropping a pretty little penny on the championship game on those Birmingham Stallions, which obviously won, covered, destroyed, everything else like that. 25-0 against the San Antonio Brahmas, in case you missed it last year. I'm going to be taking some serious shots. How much, you might ask? I'll answer you like I answer everybody. I am going to be betting more than $1 and less than $1 million, all right? We will be going with one unit, unless otherwise stated. What that unit is for me, that is for unit for you, should probably differ based on how much money you want to put into it, confidence and everything else like that, experience betting and everything else like that. I am not here to tell you how much to bet. I am here to tell you to bet responsibly, and if you choose to, this is what I will be doing. And again, I'll be doing definitely doing like a lot more this season. But yes, all bets are one unit unless otherwise stated. I also, if you followed last year, towards the end of the season did way better with the ATS against the spread than with totals. I think by week 9 I'd all but given those up because I was like 2 for 2 or 1 for 3 like several weeks in a row, whereas ATS was pretty consistently hitting. We had a couple 4-0 weeks. If I remember right with Coach Kova, the episode there, I believe we had like a perfect 4-0 spread against the spread, and then like a 3-0-1, like a 3 win and a push, or a 3 and a win. But and regardless, guys, ATS doing pretty damn well here. Got to say, doing pretty damn well here. Also, it is important to remember that that last year, right, all of these points were like the initial lines, right? The closing line was like 3 to 4 points higher. Like we were looking at mostly around like this 41, with I think like us, like St. Louis us, the Michigan Panthers in St. Louis, going up to like 41.5. Yeah, it was 41.5, and it landed right on the dot at 41. Only one game last year went over. All the rest of them were in the middle 20s to, I believe Birmingham was the one that went over right there. As you can see now, they have massively brought these down, and even in the UFL, and even with scoring differentials and stuff like that, the 1, 2, 3 point conversion attempts, as well as the 4th and 12 in the for the team that is down towards the end of the game, towards the end of the half, blah blah. Obviously allows for a lot more stuff, right? A lot more like scoring opportunities. I really feel like these are too low. The only one. We'll do totals first, and then we'll do spread second, given that I think there's probably a little bit more to talk about with the spread, right? So first and foremost, hang on, let me get my picks up here, right? Probably should. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to go through and do all the totals, all the spread, then I'm going to tell you what I'm actually taking, right? And I'll say like leaning or whatever else like that, which obviously means I'm not betting it. I'm just, gun to the head if I had to. There you go. But this is not a confidence of betting, okay? Locks obviously will be, and locks will be tracked based on like from starting from this week. I'll be taking taking very very specific note, just like I did last year, of exactly which ones I get right, which ones I get wrong, all of them with 1 unit, right? Go through the totals first. 37.5 right here. Houston Roughnecks defense was one of the worst, right? They're right towards the middle of the pack when it came to sacks. Then here with okay, actually. Okay, so 20.7 points. Actually, they're barely in the second half right there. But here's the question is, will Max Duggan, who exactly, it's not like actually clear, right? Who is actually starting at the St. Louis Battlehawks starting position at the quarterback position, right? There's been, just like some of the other guys in the UFM have been talking about, there's questions of like who's going to start right there and then who's going to like how long they're going to have that starting position will continue to be a battle between the two of them, right? Where is the picture? Darn it, I just had it. Okay. All right, it's not. I am not quickly finding it, so I will abandon that for right now. I was going to show you guys a cool little graphic, whatever. Yeah, I initially had over on this, but I just don't have a whole lot of confidence on these. But here's the question: do I have more confidence in their offenses, their defenses? St. Louis Battlehawks, I definitely have more confidence in their defense than I do. They're returning a lot of people. Their defense was towards the top of most statistics last year, but they're losing that offensive powerhouse that is A.J. McCarron. How good will these other two quarterbacks, especially one of them pretty young, come in? I'm leaning under on this, leaning 37.5. We'll come back to it. And obviously, we're gonna have a much better idea of come week 2 or so. I could also see this being an absolute shootout between the two, and Houston Roughnecks finally figuring it out, at least for a little while, and at least early. Moving on along here to the San Antonio Brahmas Arlington Renegades. These were two high-powered offenses. Arlington's offense has mostly returned here. I feel like they had to have worked on their defense or on their defense there. And then on the other side, the San Antonio Brahmas, their defense is what kept them in games. AJ Smith, I believe his name is AJ Smith, the young guy, uses VR stuff for everything. This might feel like the most comfortable over on this, except for maybe Michigan Panthers and the Memphis Showboats. Guys, our offense almost entirely tight end position. Cole Hikutini up there, Jaden Windermere, and I forgot the third one. I don't have it up right now. I don't have the roster up right now. The wide receiver core, in large part, all returning right here. Two main running backs, two top running backs on top of Jaden Sheardon, both returning from last year. I think our defense, if anything, has gotten better, but Memphis can't. I feel like this is a situation where Memphis has a lot to prove, and now with the head coach position, it's kind of like, well, question mark. I think they're good for at least 12, which means that we'd be good for 28. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think this could be a blowout right here. We'll talk about spreads as we get down there. Perhaps I should have done spreads first, and then the totals, as that would have made a little bit more sense. But it is what it is. Now the most comfortable under here of these four, under 41. I would probably wait until this until a little bit closer, maybe your Saturday morning, especially, or your Saturday night, especially if these two games will just go massively over. I think a lot of people will use that, even though they're completely different calculations or whatever, right? I think people will look at that and be like, oh, well, this is a 50-something point game. This is a 45-point game, which obviously would have hit the over for these two. I'm going to go ahead and take that, and this number might creep a little bit. So I do think obviously 21-20 is, this classic football scoring, right? 3 touchdowns, extra points on one side, 2 touchdowns and extra points, and 2 field goals on the other side would be on the other one. But again, I just don't see DC putting up those kinds of points against the Birmingham Stallions. They're returning a squad right here. This feels like a solid underplay, under 41. I would love this to get up to 42 or even 42.5 before I took it, though. And that's why I'm saying you should probably wait until That Sunday morning, maybe even while this game is going on, maybe even while the Michigan Panthers and Memphis Showboats game is going on, people are kind of trying to look to like get it back, right? Last game of the season or last game of the slate and of the weekend here. Moving on along. Moving on along here. Um, Two things. First, they did a terrible job of putting all these favorited teams. Like, yeah, I did know to a certain extent which of these teams would be favorited, especially like for this first game and this last game here. And all the dogs are at home. Like every single one, +6, +3, +3.5, +7. Again, shop around. I found better odds on MGM for this game. I found 6.5 here, and I found 3 here. I believe 3 is actually where this opened up at the Michigan Panthers and Memphis Showboats. But going through here, I don't feel great about St. Louis. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, and like the question mark around their offense, right? I need to see a solid game against the Houston Roughnecks team that plays well as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if they blow them out right here, unless I watch this game, I'd be like, dude, Houston's playing great defense. They're just getting outmatched. So they're just like getting things thrown at them that they can't really predict or they can't like respond to or whatever else like that. Whatever it is, I really want to see a St. Louis Battlehawks offense that goes out and stomps on people. Because again, I talked a little crap a few weeks ago. Had to draw that one back a little bit after seeing some training camp stuff, right? Um, because I don't see this as being like right now, I don't have full faith in the St. Louis Battlehawks and their offense and all the question marks around that offense. What that means, obviously, is you lean more towards your +6. I would also probably wait to bet this because as these bets come in, I can only imagine this is going towards St. Louis, and I would love more than a touchdown here for Houston if I was going to take one of these two. This is a true pick 'em right here. Again, I already laid out the totals play there. Moving on along here, San Antonio Brahmas, the Arlington Renegades. Again, I love the over right here, over 37. That's, of course, the lowest of these four. Man, a bunch of people gave me a bunch of crap for this, but returning coaches, returning players, a squad that got it done last year, I'm going San Antonio Brahmas -3. I mean, this is, you're going to see I'm taking mostly favorites here. I mean, but really, the last two I feel way better on than the first two. This is a pick 'em right here. I'm not really 100% sure between these two. This one I feel a little bit better about, the -3, and obviously that -105 makes me feel a little bit better about it. Moving on along here. Again, I took this at -3. That is definitely one of my locks for the season, or for the week right here. Michigan Panthers, the home squad, and yes, it's a homer pick a little bit. Yeah, the Memphis Showboats also just lost their. Well, first they're in Memphis, right, which is not exactly known for its overwhelming fan support and attendance. Second, we have returned all of our squad that made it to the USFL championship last year to get narrowly beaten by the freaking back, right, the best team in the league and whatnot. I think this is very safe to go. This 3.5 right here, that'll be my lock of the entire week. And this over feels great. That I see this being, I could see this being 24-17, 24-14 even would be right on the money, right? 25-14 would be over, right? 27-13, right, would hit the over. Moving on along here, also feel great about this one. Absolutely great. I got 6.5 on MGM if I remember right. But dude, I mean, what happened last year between when these two teams played? DC. Brahmas, Roughnecks. Here we go. Oh, this is a close game last year. Interesting. This is week 4. Okay. I mean, I'm still gonna go Stallions, but actually, I remember this game being like 27-18 or something like that. Maybe I'm just losing it, right? And then next week they get absolutely blanked by the Battlehawks. So what happened there? That's the question. And then the week after that, they beat the Brahmas by a touchdown. And then the week after that, they get beat by us by 13. Yeah, this is a DC team you can't trust, guys. Like, not at all. Come on. And then the week after that, after getting absolutely blanked, they bring it back from the brink a little bit just to go forth and allow. I mean, this almost feels like a loss. You gave up 21 points, the worst offense in the league last year, right? And one of the worst offenses, and I believe patently, yes, the Yes, the worst defense allowed the most yards per game and the most points per game. At 26, you only barely brought you got like 10 more than that, right? This is a DC squad that was already last year so up and down you could hardly trust them week to week, and they just lost their head coach. Okay, this is also losing your head coach in such a way that's not, it's not like what I believe it might be, a head coach situation where they might have health problems or something like that, right? This is like, oh, you're going on to the next one. So you're going on to the next team. So I could see some players on this team, not myself, but I could see some players on this team kind of being like a little bit salty about this one and maybe losing the focus a little bit, right? I mean, expecting a guy to completely take over the locker room and everybody love the brand new position. I am not saying by any means that Shannon Harris here is not going to come in and be well-liked, be well-loved all the way through, like here for DC. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm saying that there's only a little bit of time to go forth and really put your own stamp on that DC, on that OC position, not OC, not DC, that HC, that head coach position at DC, the Defenders over there in Washington, D.C. Let's go through here and locks. Yes, let's lock it up. Bang. Over 37 right here. Under 41. Yeah, dude, we're locking the Brahmas. -3 right here, -3.5, and -7 here. I got it at -6.5. We're not going dogs. Yeah, people always say, like, oh, you got it. Nah, dude, nah. Like, I could see it happening, the Houston Roughnecks here. This is not enough points here for the Brahmas. This is not enough points here for the Birmingham Sound, excuse me. And this is not enough points for your Michigan Panthers. The disrespect is in, right? Yeah, so again, locks. I was going to go under this. I just don't really like this game. Like, not that I don't like these teams. I just don't feel a great feel on anything between these two teams because the Battlehawks were just so intently A.J. McCarron last year, and the Houston Roughnecks have just been hapless. Like, if this number comes down, I would take this. If this number comes down to 4.5, not that really matters, man. If this number comes down to 4, I would like that. If you could get an alternative line, maybe that would be good. This money line feels great if you're going to be parlaying it up. Dude, just parlaying winners here would not be. I mean, yeah. What is this? Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible odds. Never mind. Don't. Oh wait, no, hang on. It's not 339. Yeah, that's still horrible odds. Don't do that. Not for those. Not for those. Not for week 1. Not when one of those could completely destroy it. I will be parlaying less on here. If I'm going to, it's usually going to be a spread and a total from the same game. Locks include over 37, under 41, -3, -3.5, -7 here for the Michigan Panthers Picks podcast episode, or the Picks podcast, or whatever you want to call it. Moving on along here, that's going to be about it here. Yeah, that's it. I was just making sure I got everything. Folks, check out the Your Mine Hour. Tell me about it. Defending football over there. DC Defenders show the huddle with Webb. The Brahmas bullpen also doing a little Caballeros action there. Josh is the Roughnecks rundown. Big shout out to A's Captain's Log. Oh, Captain, my Captain. You're going to be seeing a familiar face in Brandon there. You're going to be seeing a newer face in Webb over there, as well as the shorter content there, the Defenders Football Show. Gotta say, how you started out that last episode was absolutely hilarious. Just losing your head coach and just coming in and saying, "What?" Hilarious. Great stuff. If you liked what you heard, folks, FBI_Tugboat, literally everywhere. I appreciate you watching. Follow away, like, subscribe, all that fun crap, and I will catch you on the flip side.